Good morning. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie. This morning, I got a pretty big show. Um, it was really bugging me about Nancy Pelosi going over to Taiwan, and I thought, diversion, diversion, diversion. What are they diversing? Diversing, is that a word? Um, I think they were. There's a lot of new documents that's come out, not only in Ukraine, on what's going on in Ukraine, but also what is going on with the Biden family. And this week, the House GOP is ready to subpoena Hunter Biden and James Biden and force the FBI to address integrity issues. And I think it's not just integrity, they have enough coming out of the laptop that is verified what Bobulinski had said, his documents, the documents they've been able to find in China, and also uh, things that's going on in Ukraine. And it seems like it's all connected to the Biden family. So it's not just Joe Biden. It's not just Hunter Biden. It's not Hunter Biden by himself. It's the whole family. And I'll be reading quite a few documents and quite a bit this morning and help you understand why we need to take this family uh, and demand that the DOJ actually start some charges. Um, we, Me and my brother did a show. They probably deleted it since on Burisma a very, very long time ago, and I thought, that's kind of it. But all the documents and everything coming out of the GOP with Grassi and a few others, what they're finding is it was way bigger than that. So happy Friday to Susan and Mary. We missed you guys this morning. We had Perky Pigs. You guys might have to go back and watch. It wasn't that long of a show, but I sure had a happiness bug over Perky Pigs. All right. Um, so that's pretty much, you're going to get a big earful of what's been happening, not only in Ukraine, but all the way to China. Um, and maybe this is why Russia and China have decided together with Saudi Arabia to bind together, because they see the corruption um, of not only in Ukraine, but they're seeing a lot of corruption coming from the United States and a sitting president that we never thought would be this corrupt. Um, there was suspicions that's now surfacing. Officials noticed disturbing travel plans in the Federal Reserve employees. And for the past 9 years, the Chinese government has allegedly um, been trying to tamper with the Federal Reserve in the attempt to undermine American monetary policy. And a report and documents that was released on Tuesday by the Republicans on the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs, the Chinese government has apparently tried to obtain sensitive internal information and build a network of influence and informants inside the Federal Reserve. And the report from the committee outlined that several Federal Reserve employees, known as the P Network, now have raised concern in these documents with foreign affair travel plans and their patterns and their educational backgrounds that's connected them with the Chinese government. For example, one of these employees was detained 4 times on a trip to Shanghai, and the Chinese officials threatened the individual's family unless the individual provided them with the economic information and assistance that they promised to turn over. There's other reports, though, of employees who had close tie to the People's Bank of China. We also know that our own Mitch McConnell is tied up with the Bank of China. And Chinese academic institution and news agencies, which is state run not only here in the United States, but also in China. Other employees had continuous contacts with Chinese nationals, also attempted to transfer large volumes of data from the Federal Reserve to an external CCP site. Yet another federal employee alleged transferred a modeling code to a Chinese university tied to the China Central Bank. However, despite of these findings, it's so suspicious, the report from the Committee of Ohio, Senator Portman, who was the ranking member of the committee authorizing the report, did not actually conclude whether attempts of the Chinese government were successful. What do they have to hide? The chairman, Jerome Powell, disputed the findings of the report. We would be concerned with any allegation of wrongdoing. Powell wrote in a letter to the media, we are deeply troubled and we believe that the report is unfair, it's unsubstantiated, and unverified, particular individual staff members. Powell may be in dispute of the facts, but the claims of the Chinese meddling in the Fed seems to be no secret in the intelligence of law enforcement communities, and that China has been messing with U.S. institutions at an alarming rate. According to some in Congress, they're saying that how could we have uncovered that they have been not only hacking our systems, they have been caught in our schools, they've been caught sending top security information to China. So why wouldn't this be happening? The Chinese government is set on stealing our technology and whatever makes their industry tick even better than ours. And they're using it to undercut our business. And the FBI, Ray, said in June, they are set on using every tool at their disposal to keep an eye on what China is doing. But when it comes to competing and undermining the U.S. economics, it's always been China's preferred weapons of choice anyway. So in light of all of this, the threat to the feds, and they hope that the investigation and the documents that have come forward this last week and this week will provide more information to the Department of Justice. So as you could see, folks, they're trying to cover all this up, and it made a lot of sense. I mean, there's been so much that's come out last week and this week. No wonder they're trying to focus on Nancy Pelosi. And you know, what good did Nancy Pelosi do when she went to Ukraine? You know, what did she actually do? I mean, she ran over there right in the midst, and like she's doing with China, right in the midst of us maybe going to war, she's running over there for what? That one bill that was passed that her and her husband are frantically selling stocks, but they're dealings with China themselves, but it's Ukraine they're going to. So I think it's a diversion. And I think this January 6th is going in the evening again is another diversion. Why? Because there's so many documents of corruption that's coming out against this administration. And like I told you, the House GOP is ready to subpoena Hunter Biden and Joe Biden on their dealings that's been going on. And they're going to force the FBI to address these issues. And the Department of Justice, who will actually rein in on this and get rid of the politics and basically go under law. And if this does go under law, it's more than likely that there could be some corruption, treason, and other accounts that they can be charged for. Now, this is different than the Clintons, folks, because, see, the Clintons were pretty smart, pretty damn smart, I say, where they were able to cover their tracks. People came up dead. People committed suicide. People came up missing. They had people that were shredding everything that they had. They were busting up their phones. Unfortunately, with the Biden administration and this administration itself, they have been unable to have witnesses disappear, have the laptop disappear. All the documents that Rudy Giuliani got from the Burisma incident, all of this is in document form So it's not just the media saying, oh, this is how it is. No, these are actual documents, and these are all the documents that Grassley and a few top um, off the judiciary committees that they have, and they got it under lock and key at this point. Well, Susan, I'm not quite sure. Like I said, this is different from the Clintons because the Clintons, they seem to get away with it over statute of limitations on stuff they were doing. Not only that, but they didn't leave any documents behind. I mean, that I know just with the boys on the track, and I'll be going through that tonight. That is the thing with where the Clintons got away with it. Now, they've got hard copies of documents where it's almost provable. Now, forcing the FBI or DOJ to go after them for this, now that's going to be the real battle. But if everything goes right in November and we have Republican House and Senate seats taken, the thing with that is they'll be able to enforce a lot of these laws and enforce some hearings. And I don't think there's going to be much Ray can do at this point. The other thing is, oh goodness, we're also looking now that 50 members of Congress and quite a few in Senate are demanding that Biden take a cognitive test now. This is something else that's new, and it's something that's been verified by the ladies that I have working at the Capitol, and they said they're really pushing it, and more than likely it won't be till after November, and then they feel that Kamala Harris is weak enough that they should be able to override quite a bit of what Biden and this administration has done. I'm skeptical on that because even if Harris does take the spot, she'll have these advisors that have been wreaking havoc on our nation still in place. So, we're just going to have to wait and see. But this is quite, like I said, the Biden administration or the Biden family in itself, after they're pulled out of office, it's fair game. It's very fair game because he probably won't be in office after this term. And it's easier to go after a citizen instead of a politician. And he'll be a regular citizen then. He'll just be ex-president, ex-vice president. So hopefully we could do that. Mary just mentioned Save the Children. There's still a formula shortage. They haven't even addressed it yet. They've just ignored it, and they got real quiet. The media got quiet. Everybody got quiet. There's still a formula shortage. It has not been addressed and has not been fixed, nor does it look like this administration is going to fix it. So, you don't, I think it's going to be after. This is something, boy, we're going to have a long show today. Mary said personally, she thinks there'll be no, and I can't say that word, and they will start a big war. I'm thinking it's after the fact. If they go as a Marxist plan that I've told you guys about, they only do it on election, and they'll claim, oh, I shouldn't have said that word. It's going to be done on them saying that it was unfair or it's not. I can't even say that word either. It was unfair, and then they'll hit the streets. They'll hit the streets hard, and they're going to hit it really hard. I think that's what they're going to do. That's what they've been doing in all these other countries. And get this. Not only is Venezuela just as bad, but you look at some of these other countries where Iraq is protesting, and they're blaming, get this, the Obama administration and Biden for what they did, that the protests that started there has ruined their country, and it's forcing them to put in a dictator that they don't want. Um, and they blame the U.S. for it, and they blame the Biden, mainly the Biden administration or Biden, because he was foreign policy at the time of the Obama administration. So, um, I'm going to have to probably get back on David Hodges again with a lot of the new info I got. I did message him and tell him I got some good stuff. And I do this morning. The other thing is vindication. Now, nobody heard about this, but there was a issue that the Biden administration has to finish the wall in Arizona. Now I heard about it because I heard they were protesting at the Supreme Court again. And I was like, well, why are the abortion people back at the Supreme Court? Well, come to find out, it was in retaliation of this. Even though it was the protesters with the pro abortion protesters, there was enough of the mix in there that there was a few signs that were saying letting the immigrants across the border. It was all border uh, protesting signs, pre-made, which means that it was a Soros Foundation. So, but it is vindication, and the part of the border wall has to be finished in Arizona for the most part. There is a portion that goes across Indian territory, so that's a portion they're still working on. But they say that by the end of the year, they could have one of the biggest pieces of the wall up and be working on New Mexico next. Of course, Texas is already getting theirs going. So the only place we'll be looking at is New Mexico to be able to get the same bill passed to where they have to go in and finish the wall. So let me see if I got what else I got here before I get on to the stuff I got. American Cash, is it a Ukrainian con? And this is something that is very, I've been wanting to know about this too. They're saying that Putin is really bad, okay, but now they're wanting, with the war in Ukraine, and celebrities have made the trip over there. They're making Zelensky the star. They're all, they're all falling for this. And what was it, Vogue? They were on Vogue. And not only that, but I don't know if anybody knew about it, but he basically came over to the United States to push a book he's selling. So now Zelensky's even had time to write a book. I mean, I thought this war was consuming him. And not only that, but he's currently asking for $40 billion, which Congress has basically saying that they can go ahead and send this cash to Ukraine. Cash, folks. This time it isn't in military equipment. They want the 40 in cash. So now we're going to be sending pallet loads of cash to Ukraine. American Cash, is this a con? Why is America treating Europe like it's cash strapped and rebels? I mean, this is what happened in 1946. So where's all this cash going? Maybe the big guy knows. A big guy. We all know who the big guy is. Even though the media wants to play dumb, we know who the big guy is. So in between the big guy over here and the big guy over there, which is Zelensky, we're going to start sending pallets of ordnance and cash that are basically being offloaded and spent. And where are the weapons going? Do we know? Well, I went looking for it, and I asked my reporters over there, I said, what do you got on where these things are going? And remember, I told you, I think about a week ago, about it doesn't matter. The vehicles pull up and they just unload the weapons into it. Well, I wanted a little bit more hard proof on this. So um, basically, the truth of the weapons is now coming out. And, something very interesting unfolded in Ukraine this week. And the Western media, um, they're kind of getting a little bit bubbly. And of course, about Ukraine and how Ukraine is pulling ahead in the war, and Nancy Pelosi. And, you know, it's kind of funny to watch in a way, that this underdog Ukraine is now, with all their weapons from the US and NATO, that they're finally launching their first major offense against Russia. Now, remember, they have not launched an offensive or an organized offense against Russia to this point. It's always been defensive, and have not done that with any of the weapons. And with all the money they had, and not only that, but 8 years of training from NATO. Um, if, and it forces training to everybody in the country. And then now we're finding out through documents the CIA has been over there for quite a few years. Now, I spotted the CIA back in 2013 when the war first started going. And we ended up with a lot of CIA over there, and the same people that we're seeing rushing over there now. A little bit of media, uh, um, Senator Graham, Schumer, Schiff, quite a few. And so I don't think there is no advancement, no offensive. I think that Russia is basically just standing their ground. Now, no rockets have been fired, or nothing has ever been fired into Russia. This is all in Ukraine and what they're destroying. Like, they made a big deal about this bridge that they're blowing up over there. Well, that is also the bridge the Ukrainians need to flee and evacuate, when the evacuating order is given. So now they're blocking their own people from escaping, and then blowing up the residential areas and these areas where these people are, and then blaming Russia that they have to do this. No, they can be a little bit more war savvy. I know if William was in here today, he'd be saying, wait. And William would want me to put him on the phone. Okay, so there was a CNBC anchor, Shepard Smith, and basically, um, he said Ukraine forces are now on the offensive, and they fight to take back Russian invaders. Russian invaders, okay? Those are what they consider anybody, civilian, military, or otherwise. If you support Russia, you're an invader. So understand that. That's what's on the news over there. We hear it as invaders. We're thinking of a military group. No, invaders coming from Russia and Ukraine in their news. That is anybody, even civilians that are Russian. They are considered invaders. And so they are fighting back against Russian invaders in major strategic cities. The Ukrainian ramping up attacks around the incursion. That's a key city in southern Ukraine that fell to Putin's troops way back in March. Russian state media report that Ukrainians have been pounding a vital bridge, remember the bridge I just mentioned, with rockets. And it's a critical river crossing. And you would cut off crucial supply line, not only for the Russians, but for the Ukrainians of an escape route. And they say that the troops in Kherson, according to the British intelligence in recent days and their documents, they have seen Ukrainians blow up Russian ammo. And all of that, or it's Russian ammo depots near Kherson. It's suspected that they're using advanced long-range rocket systems supplied by the United States to strike those targets. And the Pentagon announced that it's sending Ukraine even more HIMAR rocket systems, as they call them in Ukraine. Uh, the officials say those weapons have been a real game changer and has sent the Russians into what they call a panic mode. Well, what we have seen coming out of our reporters is it's not a panic mode. It really contradicts actual what Mark Milley said. The same day that I got this report, Milley came out and said this is a war of attrition. And we haven't yet lost Eastern Ukraine, and we haven't really made any gains. We just haven't lost it. And so the bottom line, folks, is Milley was saying that there was no gain. There was no scaring off these Russians and the Russians running away in fear. None of that happened. And if you look at the whole report with Milley, it basically describes that Russia's got the majority of these states, and that the Ukrainians using these missiles are just firing back. It's not pushing the Russians back into Russia, and all it does is put more ammunition for Russia to be equal or better than Ukraine. So the bottom line is the cost is high and the gains are low for this war. And they're grinding a war of attrition that's occurring in Luhansk and Donbass region. And they haven't gained Donbass back, nor Luhansk, or any of those. They're basically fighting to keep them out of Kyiv and Odessa. So no, it's not lost yet. And if we're going to continue sending those long-range weapons, we're going to continue to send more of those low-cost and the Wi-Fi gains. So there isn't a lot of progress that's going on over there. Now, the thing that got me was we're sending them these weapons, these long-range weapons, and these aren't just these are military weapons. These are military rockets. This is military equipment that shouldn't be in the hands of anybody but the military. And that's what you would think, right? And they're going to send another round of these long-range HIMARS weapons into Ukraine, about 4 of them. And so now we have admitted we're going to keep sending them these missiles. They want about 100 of them. But when they did ask and they begged, even the wife of Zelensky was begging for 100 missiles to be sent. Why? And what gets me is she gets on TV and she starts begging for these missiles and saying how the kids of Ukraine are being hurt. No, that's not happening. If the kids are there, they have been told to evacuate. The families have been told to evacuate. Why are they staying there? And see, that was never made any sense to me. If they had 100 of them, and they're only getting 4, that's a long mark off. And the Ukrainians are fleeing their cities, and they're doing so, get this, on bicycles now. They don't have the cars. They don't have the gas. Most of the cars are blown up. So they're on bicycles. And one of the reporters said it sort of makes her, she says, well, they have these white ribbons wrapped around their bicycles, which they hope to show Russian army peace, which is interesting because the Russians tell the people to wear white ribbons around their arms, like armbands, so they can identify them as Russians. So not only the thing that upsets me about this, folks, though, is what's coming out with the reporters and the documents. because they're recording this. And officials, Russian officials, are even recording it and taking it to the UN, saying, you know, they, um, uh, if they are trying to disguise themselves as Russians. They started looking into it and they started detaining some of these people. And come to find out, a lot of them were military, the Azov battalion, trying to get into Russian territory to sneak in and be able to gain a position. And they have already found 20, 30 of them that tried to do this. So, um, you can basically interpret this. Are they changing sides? Are they really Ukrainians that want to be Russians? Are these just simple Ukrainians that Russia is twisting? Um, so with the propaganda, it's so thick, not only here but even over there. So then the First Lady of Ukraine. She was in Washington and she met privately with Jill Biden, the First Lady. And they were at the White House. And according to the White House officials, we assured her that we would be sending more weapons. So she goes in front of Congress and she gives an address. And then in front of the media also afterwards. And she said, I'm asking for something now I would never ask. I'm asking for weapons, weapons that would be used to wage a war on someone else's land, but to protect one's home and the right to wake up alive. That's what we're asking for. I'm asking for an air defense system in order for rockets not to kill children in their strollers. Now, I'm not trying to be heartless, folks. Okay, I'm really not. Um, you know what it kind of reminds me of. Um, you remember in Iraq with the girls, a girl, and there was a few others that were begging for help in Iraq because of the baby food formula factory, and we got to worry about the Iraqi babies. Uh, And what I heard was stop killing babies in strollers. Like, I have never, ever seen anything. All the pictures, folks, I have seen coming out of there. Um, Even when the one women's center had been blown up, um, they couldn't prove that there was actual babies in there. And so when I heard babies in strollers, to me, that is just playing on sympathy. And she was wrong to me. She was wrong for that. Um, it's kind of ironic that Putin says they don't send any of these long range missiles until he says something. He said he told them if they're going to send long range missiles, that there would be repercussions out of this, and not to do it. And lo and behold, then we hear we're going to send them some. And not only that, we were going to send them some to fire on Crimea. What's Crimea got to do with Ukraine? But Ukraine was going to fire into Crimea. And so this is the exact thing that I'm telling you guys about, is there is something wrong with this war. There's something very corrupt with this war. And if we're only going to send 4 of them, okay, what was behind that? Well, come to find out, folks, it's kind of what we're finding out, and I don't want to lose my place here. These long-range weapons, and we're sending them to Ukraine. Well, the GOP has been saying, can we track them? Where are these actually going? Because remember the report I told you about where they were just putting them into cars? Well, the GOP found out about that, and then now there's kind of scrambling to figure out a way to track them. Zelensky don't know. Why not? Why, if you are in charge of this country and you are begging for missiles so that babies and strollers don't get blown up, wouldn't you track and keep track of what you're getting? How does he know how much he needs if he's not tracking what he's getting? Well, the thing about it, the GOP decided, and quite a few over there um, for the UN, has now been looking into it. And what they found out is they're finding 50% of what's being sent to Ukraine is on the black market. They're being sold to ISIS, Al Qaeda. They're being sold on the black market. Not only are they just handing them into the back of cars that they don't know who these people are, what they're going to have a Volkswagen pull up and they're going to tie a missile to the top and say, there you go, on your way, bye, have fun. That's about what's going on. And these are being sold on the black market. And the world is waking up to the fact that we're not just arming Ukraine, we're arming every terrorist organization in the world that has a grudge with the United States. And we're giving it to them. We're paying for it, not Ukraine. And this is weapons to carry out political assassinations on what, the United States or other NATO countries. Or who are they going to go after with these things? It's actively working with Ukraine to come up with a way to account, they say, for these weapons. Guess what they're going to do? Oh, yes, in this little new package they want to pass, there's going to be, they want to come up with a program, and they're going to get a few positions to people to look at the root cause of why these are ending up on the black market. Once again, this is what I've been telling you the Democrats do. They create program after program after program to sit around a table and say, okay, now what do? We're a bunch of dummies. And it just really irks me and really pisses me off, folks. They do this. And they've been doing this for 30, 40 years. This is a Joe Biden, a typical trick. And so the cat's out of the bag. These weapons are on the market. And it's not just leaking out of Ukraine, but it's in Russia, of course. Oh, Russia propaganda. No, but guess what? It's leaking out of the EU and their papers there. And NATO knows this. And guess what? They've known about it for 2 months. 2 months. We've been sending how much money, how many weapons, and they've known it's been sold on the black market. And what have they done? Oh, now they're going to do something about it. See why we want to hear about Nancy Pelosi going to Taiwan? See why they want us to know about January 6th? Oh, yeah, the last 2 months. Think about the news reports. Think of the news reports that they put out. And, turning the most corrupt nation over to Europe at some point in time. When did they ever prove they aren't corrupt? That's what I'm waiting on. And I'm starting to see documents coming out that Ukraine has never become uncorrupt. Has Zelensky proved that the Azov battalion isn't corrupt? Has he proved that the scientists and the biolabs they have over there aren't corrupt? They have not proven that Ukraine has ever been cleaned up. Even Zelensky's phone call to Trump, it was asking for help to clean up the corruption. So now they're rubbing elbows with the Bidens at the White House. Yeah, it just got to make you, it really, really has to get to you. So to display this week that and they're in good faith of getting rid of the corruption, and because of the weapon systems that is going that way aren't actually getting there, they've asked 2 senior politicians, insiders of Zelensky's government, to resign. And then they said, no, we're not going to ask them. We're not going to fire them. Maybe resign, maybe just voted out of parliament. And they said so that they could become regular citizens again. Well, if they're so corrupt and if they're the ones selling it on the black market, why isn't Zelensky going after these guys? And then come to find out these same guys have been to Washington, D.C. and had meetings with Joe Biden in the last 6 months. Why? And how come we didn't know about that? So there continues to be a corruption inside Ukraine, and the West knew about it. And they're pretending, in fact, that it's not happening. And about tracking, regarding tracking those weapons, just a week ago, senior officials inside the Pentagon were saying a lot of times these weapons are sent to Poland, and then they are met by somebody at the Ukrainian border, and they're being put into private cars, trucks, and like flatbed trucks, and it's never really military vehicles. That came from the Pentagon, and we're not listening. You know, put one of them HIMARS on the back of my truck. You know, would they? They probably would. Somebody like stuffing billions of dollars of explosive, short range missiles, surface to air missiles, and giving them to who? I don't want to just keep going over it, but there are people with hostilities against the United States, and we have to track them. And I agree with the GOP and top officials in the judiciary, and even those at the Pentagon and Department of Defense, saying that we're going to have to figure out a way to track these missiles or all the military equipment. But it should be up to NATO military personnel to also indicate that these are military vehicles that are picking up these weapons. And they're also we really the other thing is the boots on the ground. And you have to wonder how many boots on the ground does NATO have there and the United States? If they lied about the weapons, this is something they keep mentioning, and we have been sending soldiers over there. My reporters are seeing U.S. and European soldiers fighting with the Zelensky's military. So do I bet we do have boots on the ground. So I believe they're lying about this also. So does it feel like they're making ground, needing all this equipment, all this money, and then they're talking $7 to $8 million a month that needs to go to Ukraine, as well as military equipment. So I don't think they're making any ground at all. From what I'm hearing, they're not. They're not making any ground at all on anything. Now, the new tapes that have come out on the Biden family, and this is these tapes came to light a number of years ago. But they have been kept by the Department of Justice and the FBI. Well, now under Freedom of Information Act, some of these tapes have come to light. And not only that, but some conservative media have been able to pull some of these tapes. And what I'm talking about is, let's go back to, you remember when Biden was making the phone calls to Zelensky and Poroshenko, and about what was going on with the Biden family with the corruption of the previous president before Zelensky. And remember, he was going to fire this guy. Well, what's coming out of these new tapes, folks, is the fact that it wasn't just a simple phone call. What's coming out in the tapes is he was threatening them. Biden was, as vice president of the United States, he was threatening them that if that harm would come to them and their family if they didn't fire this prosecutor. Remember, he said, well, I'm not going to give them the $1 million till they let that guy go. There was a lot more to that. He said a lot more on the stage that day. And then when he called up and was talking to him, the guy had better be fired. And this is what we're not hearing about. And not only that, but the Biden family made $1 billion off of the deal with this guy being fired, Burisma to be able to hide quite a bit. And not only that, but for the Biden family to be able to pull out of some of the biolabs that's there before they were caught. They were also part of Ukrainian Bank and Burisma. And so there was a big cover up that was going on. And this is coming out in the Hunter Biden laptop. This is also the same documents that Bobulinski had. Now, Bobulinski didn't come along until when they got to China. And I'm going to go further into that with China, because China started it actually 2016, where they started the cover up of what they were doing with their businesses in China. So 2017, they're claiming a cover up for Ukraine and all of the illegal businesses they were doing of the money that they were making was going through a Bank of Ukraine, going to Cyprus, which we all know that Cyprus was basically, it was disclosed that they were doing money laundering. And this is also in the documents that Giuliani has, but it's on the laptop, and it's the same documents that was turned over by Bobulinski. So so Susan, when you mentioned they're probably not going to get in trouble, the Clintons never went this far. The Biden family has. And then there's documents. They didn't shred the documents. So these are actual hard copies that the GOP and Rudy Giuliani's got under safekeeping, but also what the FBI and the DOJ is pulling off the Hunter laptop. So it's almost like they have the documents, they got the proof over here, the proof over here, there's proof coming in here, and it's all the same. And it's coming from many different sources. You have a question? Mary, go ahead if you got a question. So this is stuff that's coming out this last week and this week on what happened during 2016. So when the Obama administration basically was asked, did they hear about this? Now they're claiming they didn't know nothing, but now it's starting to come out even in the documents, and it's only when they went to China that it wasn't that the Obama administration it was found out that they were a big part of this. So if we leave Ukraine with all the corruption they had there, you would think that they wouldn't have done nothing in China. Now, right before stuff came out in Ukraine, and this was a while ago, lo and behold, Nancy Pelosi showed up. Right before they were trying to get rid of documents, but they had already disappeared, and they didn't know where they went. Now, I assumed it was Putin that got a hold of them. I mean, my brother can vouch for that. I kept thinking, you know what? How much do you want to bet those people over there, when they did the impeachment on Trump, they got a hold of them documents? And I bet you Putin's got them, and he's just waiting for the right time. None of us know how these documents were able to escape Ukraine and end up in the right hands. And I believe it was some of the witnesses that Rudy Giuliani had. I believe they were the ones. And it was their bosses that were the corrupt ones. So did Obama know about it? I believe he did. And I believe he could have been a big part of it. So this was all in 2017-18 that all of this was going on. Because remember the impeachment and all the stuff with that phone call. Well, with the Biden phone call, it actually makes Trump look pretty innocent compared to what the phone call where Biden was threatening these people. And then, of course, he got paid $1 billion to for some reason out of it. So then we move over to China. And now we got China and Taiwan. Now, most of Congress, of elite, have been doing business. And I say Congress because we even got Mitch McConnell that's dabbling over there. There is quite a few, even Trump. I'm not gonna throw everybody under the bus and not include Trump, but Trump sold everything and pulled out of China when right about the time he became president. So what we're seeing over there is Senator Kerry and his son that was part of Burisma, which is now part of what was going on in China with the China banks. Not only that, but then we see Whitey Bulger, which they made sure all charges were dropped. And if you don't know who Whitey Bulger is, he is a terrorist. That his son is in business with John Kerry's son and Hunter Biden and in doing banking. And I think it's a new way to funnel the money through China because China's not going to stop them. And why? Because China is a big part of this, and that's the CCP. They have the Hunter Biden and the Biden family, including Jill Biden, his brother, his brother's wife, all of them have been working 50-50 with the Chinese on the same thing they did in Burisma, they're doing over in China, except for they're not buying into gas and oil, they're buying into banking, banking institutions. So now we're seeing quite a few trips going over there. And does Jinping know about this? I believe so. And I believe this is what he has holding over Biden's head. And of course, now we're getting documents coming out of China. And I believe that the CCP is leaking these documents little bit by little bit and showing how treasonous that our own president has been with his son and Senator Kerry's son, Senator Kerry, and a few other elites over in China. And every time, what we're finding out is every time the Biden administration doesn't side with China, another document's released. So Jinping probably has all the documents of what's going on over there. Well, now, from what we see with the stock market over there, this is what's really interesting, is you start seeing all of the main stocks that the elite are in on now starting to drop and being sold at a big record. Even Mitch McConnell has been selling a lot of his off. So the business dealings with Hunter Biden and stuff. And you said, well, that could just be Hunter Biden. That might not be Senator Kerry and it might not be Joe Biden. Well, that's where Bobulinski came in. And when I wish everybody would have listened to this man because he out and out gave them all the documents that connected not just Hunter Biden, but Joe Biden, Jill Biden, Joe Biden's brother James and his wife. That was all in on this on a 50-50 deal. And when they all had to sell out, they would split it 50-50. And of course, they were saying the big guy and keep the big guy out of this. Well, a lot of the business transactions they were doing was in 2017, 18, and 19. And they were getting a lot of really big deals in banking deals and other promises of like the microchips and some other resources that they could buy into. And why? Because they were told, the CCP and some documents that are coming out, they were told that it was guaranteed in 2018 that Joe Biden would be elected as president. Now, how did they know that? And this is and it's in documents in 2018. How did they know it was a guaranteed win for him? And 2 years before we voted. So this really provides a lot of what's going on with President Biden. And not only that, but even all the info coming from Poroshenko now out of Ukraine, as well as the leaked documents coming from China. So that's basically what I wanted to bring you guys today, is the fact that all of this is going on, and this is something that they can be is illegal and they could be in trouble for. Is he going to his brother James is equally in on this now, and his wife. They are civilians. Now, see, Susan, this is where I'm telling you that they could get in some trouble here. With them being civilians, is Joe Biden and Jill Biden actually going to let his brother go get charged for this? Are they going to allow it? Are they going to stand by him? Are they going to back him up? Are they going to get him out of trouble? The same way with Hunter. Hunter Biden's in deep. I mean, just some of the stuff he was doing that they got videos of is illegal, that he filmed. You, and I don't mean to laugh, but they can't even stop any of the prosecutions, or won't be able to stop any of the prosecutions against his brother. That's a civilian. This is a civilian working with a foreign government, giving them foreign secrets. It's national security breach. And so who allowed him to do it? None other than our president. So you could see there's a little bit more than what going on in even China now that they've been doing. And lo and behold, here goes Nancy Pelosi over there in the midst of all of it. And I think it's a diversion, but I also think there's something going on with maybe her and her husband, and I'm getting it checked out. And not only that, but her going over trying to wrap up and try to find out exactly how many documents is out there that they need to shred. And you just can't cover up everything. And not only that, but it's not, boy, it's just not China. It's not China. He has been dealing through his power from since senator on, with at least 5 different countries now. So Ukraine wasn't the first, and China's not the second. There's 5 more that supposedly these are classified right now. They're trying to declassify them. So there's 5 other countries, and I'm thinking Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, and I don't know who the others are. But it would make sense for Afghanistan. Why? We left all that equipment there. Was that a payoff? Are we going to find out that was a payoff for Joe Biden to Afghanistan for something they have done? And it just goes on and on and on. They're finding from the time he was senator until now, he has basically done the same thing, but with smaller countries, to where he's went in and did the resources, and he's taken advantage of these smaller countries. So as more of even Bob Alinsky, there are documents that he has submitted, and even more than he did before. He's found some more and he submitted it. And right now they're keeping them under wraps. They're not letting nobody know what's in them. And as much as I've been snooping around and having my ladies at the Capitol snoop around, we're not really finding out what Bob Alinsky has turned over to Grassley and the GOP. A smart move. Because how many times have things been turned over to the FBI or the CIA and has disappeared? has definitely disappeared, or they didn't do anything about. And not only that, but the FBI, the top 20, 30 are Clinton lawyers that have been put in place. So what good is it going to do to take anything to the FBI at this point until we can start weeding through these people? This is corruption. And like I said with the title today, they fear what's coming out in these documents. Because why? Look at how outrageous they're getting. Look at the Supreme Court protesters. They're going to go after Kavanaugh. Oh, January 6th. Oh, Nancy's going to Taiwan. It's a lot of smoke, folks, for what's coming out. And I'm going to keep my nose to the ground on this. I'm definitely going to keep my nose on the ground to this one because I think I'm onto something. Am I taking Putin's side? I know that's been asked of me. No, I'm just aiming for the truth. And I know that Ukraine is corrupt. We all know China's corrupt. We don't even got to prove that. Is Ukraine corrupt still? Yes. Yes, it is. And we're being abused from our taxes, paying for what? For who to get this military equipment? 50% of the military equipment is going to who? And until people start talking about it and the media starts talking about it. Now, I don't know many conservatives out there that has brought this up. Very, very few. But I wanted to get it out there. I want you to know that Ukraine is corrupt, and maybe you need to think about it. How many times have we been duped by this administration into thinking that we thought the right way? Well, what if Ukraine is still corrupt? What if they're taking us to the cleaners? And what if they've sold all this and they don't care if they win or lose this war? They're losing, but they want to say oh, we still need the 100 missiles. We need those 100 rockets. I say no. We gave them 4. They don't need no more. And all they're doing is blowing up their own country. They're just blowing up their own country to make it unlivable for Russians, if that's what ends up happening. And if not, even if they win it back, they just blew up a whole bunch of Ukrainians too. How much respect is that country going to have for Zelensky when thousands of Ukrainians are dead due to his actions and the Azov battalion? So anyway, that is it for today, folks. And I got more tonight. I got more tonight with the Clintons. We're going to go rounds about the Clintons tonight. And there's always more that's coming out that I'm getting more and more documents every day on what's going on with Biden and Hunter. And as we get closer to November, we're only a few months away, folks. We're going to change it, and we're going to go after these guys. And we have to insist that something get done with this family. This family, I think, is worse than the Clintons ever were. And I know a lot about the Clintons, but these guys are just money makers. And they have put dangerous military equipment in the hands of terrorists for decades and made money off of it. Who makes the money off of it? That's my next question. Is if it's being sold, is the Biden family making the money off of it, or who's making the money on the black market? So anyway, please subscribe. This is a good show to share today. Share and hit the follow and the like button over there in Facebook, and share, definitely share. And here on YouTube, hit the bell, squash that bell today. So you be sure to come back tonight. And I'm going to kind of keep going with the Clintons. We got more coming. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, and always share the videos. We're only going to get deeper and deeper with what's going on with the Biden administration as more and more is uncovered. And I want to thank all of you for watching today. This is a big show. This is a pretty good show with a lot of information. The black market, to them just giving the missiles away, to the Biden administration over with the CCP and his whole family in on this now. There's nowhere left to hide, Joe Biden. It's all coming back to bite you in the buns. So Have a great Friday, and we'll see you all tonight. Bye-bye, folks.